You're about to watch one of the most influential thinkers of the 21st century, the man who virtually founded the personal development and self-help industry, and in the process transformed our understanding of the human mind. His name is Richard Bandler.
It's about having lessons that tell you how to design the inside of your head just like you would design the inside of a room.
Dr. Bandler personally trained to NLP Master Trainer level the internationally acclaimed lifestyle guru Paul McKenna. And motivational powerhouse Anthony Robbins freely acknowledges that NLP has influenced his own work.
I think the tools I've created are evolutionary in nature. We've never had a way to think about how we think. Being trained primarily as a physicist taught me to think in terms of how things work in systems. I used to design compiler systems, and that technology of teaching machines to do what humans did got me the idea that we could teach humans to do what other humans did by looking at the process, not the content.
Thanks to Dr. Bandler's mind training techniques, therapists, athletes, business people, writers, artists, musicians, teachers, entrepreneurs, negotiators, politicians, and countless others have become more successful and more effective at what they do. NLP has even inspired and been featured in TV hit series. Through NLP, millions have become assured and more self-confident, fostering a positive outlook on life that's freed them to achieve their goals and fulfill their ambitions. Celebrity chef Aldo Zilli has been running successful restaurants in London's West End for over 30 years. It's a far cry from his humble beginnings growing up on a farm in Abruzzo in Italy, and he has his mother to thank for his love of cooking.
My mum was always cooking for 10 people every day because there was 9 children and a husband. So I suppose I was with her, I was the youngest, so I was always with her cooking and helping her. And she did influence me, I suppose, a lot, because at the age of 8 I was making pasta, at the age of 12 I was making stews, at the age of 13 I was working for a fishmonger, which I got paid in fish, so I'd cook fish every night. So yes, I suppose the family upbringing did influence me quite a bit. I realized I wanted to be a chef quite later on, actually. Probably at the age of 21, 22, because at the beginning I didn't really want to be a chef, because I didn't want to be in the kitchen, because I love people, and I wanted to be outside. I wanted to be a concierge in hotels. I wanted to learn languages, and that was my first ambition in life. And then I started cooking, because traveling the world, to be honest, you know, if you're a chef, you can, even if you don't speak the language. And that was my ambition, to travel the world. So I started working in a kitchen in Italy, and then my mum taught me, you know, a lot of things about cooking. And then I realized that I could do this for a living. Getting the chance of opening my first restaurant at the age of 26 in those days in this country, where Italian ingredients were very limited, and I had to cook with what I had. And opening my first restaurant was a very big chance that I took, but I had nothing, so I couldn't lose it, nothing. So it wasn't that bad, but it was a huge turning point in a sense that I was in business all of a sudden.
Today, Richard Bandler is on his way to meet Aldo. By questioning and observing him, he will uncover what has made him a successful chef.
Hi, I'm Richard Bandler,
I'm Aldo Zilli.
and I'm here today see if we can find out what makes you such a talented person. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not an archaeologist, and I'm not a voyeur either. I'm not really interested in how people develop their difficulties. What I'm interested in is how you neurologically learn to think differently, how the brain recodes and produces different behavior. My work is based on the structure of our neurology and our neurochemistry. And so I'm only interested in the future. I'm interested in where people want to go. My job is to go and find really bright, creative people who are the best at what they do, and get from their mind both the conscious and the unconscious portions of what makes them an exceptional human being. Whereas a psychologist wants to find out what's wrong with you, my job is to find out what's right with people, to find out how they become successful at what they do, and how they stay motivated, and how they're creative. And obviously you're one of those people. Mm-hmm. See, a lot of people go, gee, I wish I could be like so-and-so and own a restaurant. At some point in time, you did something in your mind that told you that you could do this, and in fact you could do it better than other people, that this could be a vocation.
At the age of 26, I was working in a restaurant, and the owner decided to retire, and he said, would you be interested in renting my restaurant off me while I just go and play golf? And that was a big turning point, because I thought I could do a lot better than he was doing.
Okay,
and
now when you thought that, did you actually, inside your mind, make a picture of you being in a restaurant, having it be different and being successful?
The picture in my mind was of being the boss. I was always dreaming of being the boss.
So were you being the boss in the same restaurant, or were you being the boss in a restaurant that was even better than the one you worked in?
I was being the boss in the same restaurant, but I made it better. For some reason, that restaurant turned into a celebrity magnet. It turned into a very, very successful Italian restaurant in London.
And when you design something that you're going to cook, how do you make up something new to cook for the restaurant? Where does that come from? Where is the seed of the creativity in your brain? Do you start with a smell or a taste, or do you decide what it's going to look like? Or
Colors first.
Colors. That's interesting.
People eat with their eyes.
People eat with their eyes.
So I always think art, colors, how I'm going to put it together on a plate, what it's going to end up looking like. When I write books, it's exactly the same. And then I go for the ingredients that are available at the time of the year. The first thing I put on the menu, I'll never forget this, was the Italian flag colors. Mm-hmm. You know, so I put a tricolore on the menu, which is avocado, tomato, and mozzarella.
That's great.
And that was my first thing I ever put on the menu in my first restaurant.
And you laid them out in a row like the flag?
I laid them out properly with a little bit of basil dressing, and people loved it, and it's still on the menu now. After 30 years.
Obviously that was one that worked.
Yeah.
Don't mess with success. That's what I always say.
No, don't fix it if it's not broken.
I think I'm getting a little bit of the gist of what you have to offer people, and part of the process that I use to find out how I'm extracting somebody's talent is to see if I can instill a little of that in other people. So I've brought some catering students here with me. There are people that probably in their mind wish they could become you. And both you and I know that's probably not the best thing, that you can't really become somebody else, but you can learn from their talent. Obviously, you're somebody who's got a very strong will. You can take risks, but you also have unique ways of making decisions about how you would prepare food. And you understand the restaurant business enough that you know it's not about sitting in the back of the kitchen making perfect meals, that your relationship with your customers is important. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have a little chit-chat with these people and see if we can instill in them a little bit of what makes you a powerful guy who ended up doing so well in this business. And hopefully if we get a little bit of that in the front and the back of their mind, they'll stand a better chance of someday maybe we'll be eating in their restaurants.
A group of catering students hungry to learn have come along to the restaurant. With Richard's help, they hope to walk away with an insight into how to be a success in their own cooking careers.
When I meet Aldo, what I would like to achieve is some inspiration, some new techniques and tips to help me in my career.
I'd love to know what goes through Aldo's mind throughout all his stages in the career.
I'd like to have my own restaurant one day.
I'd like to welcome you here to Zilli Fish, Aldo's restaurant. I'm Dr. Richard Bandler. I'm hoping today that we'll be able to learn from Aldo so that maybe you can become inspired to be as successful as he has. Obviously, if you're aspiring young chefs and you look at somebody that's successful, you can maybe learn a little bit from them. And so we're going to go into the kitchen, and Aldo's going to show you how to cook something and give maybe one of you a chance to try and do the same kind of thing, and it'll give me a chance to watch and maybe learn a little bit about how he designs and does the things that he does. So let's stop now, and we'll go into the kitchen and watch Aldo in action. So follow me.
Basically, what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you just a few secrets about how to deal with pasta, fresh pasta, instead of dealing with dried pasta. That's where the secret is to have fantastic seasonal ingredients to start with, and then the cooking becomes easy. All right, so start with a non-stick, very good pan. Okay, always remember to invest in good equipment. Knives, fantastic set of knives you need. Okay, and always keep them really, really, really sharp. Really sharp. In the kitchen, it's safer to have sharp knives than it is to have blunt ones. Right, so we got extra virgin olive oil. Okay, not virgin, not sunflower. Fantastic ingredient, extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to make a fresh sauce to go with my wonderful fresh spaghetti. So we've got some garlic here, which we're going to chop, and we're going to put it in. Okay, we're going to flavour that oil. Just flavour the oil, and then what you do is you take the big bits out, because you already flavoured the oil. As soon as the oil comes up to boiling point, the garlic's flavoured. All right, so we got some asparagus, English asparagus in season at the moment. Really, really fantastic. A few cherry tomatoes. Of course, tomato is not a vegetable, it's tomatoes. Fruit. Well done. And a couple of these wonderful anchovies. This is my base for my sauce. We got some fresh basil, but we're not going to put these ingredients in now, because we don't want to wilt them. We're going to leave them until the end. This is to flavor our food. Okay, so this is going to go in the end, which doesn't take a lot of cooking. Okay, so now we've got a hot boiling water there. We need some salt to put into the water, and we got fresh spaghetti instead of having dried ones. Okay, so these are fresh. Therefore, you put them in the water, and 3 minutes they're cooked. That's all they need. And make sure you keep them al dente when you cook them. Okay. A little bit more extra virgin olive oil here. So simplicity in the kitchen, Italian kitchen, is very important. We let the ingredients do all the cooking for us, because keeping it simple, you'll end up with a great food. Okay, we're going to drain the spaghetti, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put them in the sauce. Okay, we finish the cooking of the pasta inside this sauce. Don't make a sauce and then serve the pasta and then put the sauce on top, because the pasta won't have any flavor whatsoever. So we need to, now for this pasta, to absorb all our flavors, okay? So smoked ricotta cheese from sheep. So it's a sheep cheese, and it's a ricotta. Ricotta means cooked twice. Ricotta in Italian means it's been cooked twice, okay? And it's smoked. So that is going to give you all the flavor you need for this wonderful dish. All you need is to melt the cheese, okay? You don't need to cook that cheese. Just melt it and warm it inside that sauce.
Then we're going to finish it with my spinach and basil, some extra virgin olive oil. Okay, because you finish off things with extra virgin olive oil, it's absolutely wonderful. And then all the vegetables are not overcooked now. You don't want to overcook anything. Okay, and what you do is you put it on a plate, start in the middle of the plate, and you serve your plate of pasta. You see that took about 3 minutes, and it looks wonderful. The colors, people will eat with their eyes. Okay, so the colors here, to me, that tells me, what does it tell you? Summer, freshness, beautiful, Italian. I want to eat it. You know what I mean? You've got to serve something that people want to eat. And the biggest mistake that everybody makes is they don't taste it before it goes out.
When I was in the kitchen, I felt that he was really organised. He eats his eyes as well. He used a lot of colour in the dishes that he did.
Well, it's obvious with Aldo that he knows what he's doing. He knows his dish as well, and he knows his colleagues well.
I would advise a young person who wants to have a career in my business not to do it for the wrong reason, not to do it for celebrity. Just be prepared to do a lot of hard work.
We are constantly having to select what we'll pay attention to, what we'll do, and to time load things. That, you know, if you're at home and you have to do you have to feed your kids, right? You set a time to do it. It's called scheduling. But, you know, there has to be a bigger goal. If you want to start up business at home and you're going to be self-initiated, you have to look into the future. You have to make what you're seeing in the future compelling, which means you have to be able to adjust your fantasy of where you're going to be so it's so strong you feel it in every fiber of your soul.
Now that Aldo has finished cooking, one of the keen students gets the chance to recreate the same dish under Aldo's watchful eye.
You must be careful that you don't leave the garlic and the chili to burn, so put everything else in there.
I was trying to tell them, you know, you need to make bigger pictures to feel stronger about them. When they go home tonight, when they're least expecting it, they're going to look at their pictures and go, my pictures are too small.
Okay, he's doing a good job, this guy. He's a very quick learner. You can put the pasta in.
I think that watching, you know, a master at work should inspire you. The ease with which he made something wonderful, how quickly he made it. He didn't use nasty ingredients. He just, you know, if they watch that and they look at the environments and the buildings he has, and they were in 2 restaurants, it should inspire them.
Hey, here's a fight. Well done.
I mean, you watch most celebrity chefs and your brain is gone, I could never do that. But he did it very quickly. He showed you how to be prepared. He showed you what to taste for, what to watch for, how long to do things, and I think it was a great lesson.
Well done. Get out of my kitchen, please, everyone.
With the cooking done, the students now get the chance to ask their mentor questions and find out the best tips of the trade.
Okay, now that you've all seen Aldo cook in the kitchen, and this is going to be your chance to ask the great man questions. And it's not about soufflés, it's about success, and it's about planning. And those of you that want careers like his career, it's your chance to learn a little bit. I want to throw in a few things myself, because observing him and talking to him, there are, to me, some things that are obvious. The difference between the confidence with which he talks about cooking and his future was real different than the way you guys are talking and thinking about it. Now, you could wait 40 years to build up the kind of confidence, but very clearly, to me, is the way he thinks. If you were to adopt more of the way he thinks, then you could let your own creativity flow through it. It doesn't mean you have to be an Italian chef. But certainly the things that he's described today, even the things about how he thinks about food and that it has to look wonderful, the concept that people eat with their eyes and that he plans food. When he talked to me, he described the first thing that he added to a menu when he owned his own restaurant, looking like the Italian flag. And since that had a strong emotional response to him when he lined up food so that it looked that way, it of course gave other people that emotional response. And if you think about creating a meal and that when it's done, it has to have an impact on people. It has to smell good, it has to taste good, and he said it has to be healthy to be good. But this is your chance to ask questions about how he decided and plans restaurants. This is where your imagination, this is a chance to pick up a piece of wisdom that you probably couldn't get anywhere else. So, what's it going to be?
These two boys have just been doing a competition. They got through to the next stage. What can they do now to actually win that competition? They've gone through the final, the heats, and they're going to go there. They're a little bit frightened to ask you.
And also to help nerves.
I think you've got to cook out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I think you've got to go and create for your own sake at home first, before you go to the competition, and push yourself harder outside your comfort zone, and you will win the competition. And keep positive.
Yeah.
You can do it.
That's extremely good advice, because people ask me all the time what personal power is. They go to Tony Robbins' seminar, and Tony tells them to face their fears. And when they come to me, they go, what do you think personal power is? And I think personal power is knowing what you do well and knowing what you don't know well, so that you know what to do next. Because, like, you know, when you get to a certain point, if you just become too comfortable with it, then you just go into this loop, and it goes on forever. There are some people as teachers that teach 50 years one time, and some people teach for 50 years. That's what makes a good teacher. And even when he was teaching you guys to cook a meal, you know, you guys said, oh, you did it too fast. And I don't think you can get people to learn too fast. I think that's what gets things to set in. Maybe he missed one ingredient in there, but the fact that it's all done quickly and the brain patterns things together. You know, if you draw figures on a piece of paper and you flip through it, the stick figure will get up with a frying pan and cook a meal. But if you hand people one of those once a week, the brain doesn't pattern it. People learn faster. And when you challenge yourself and you get to the point where you do something well, and then you go, okay, I can do this well, what can't I do well?
You know, sort of what you've done, what you thought about when you were young and you carried on that. What is your next step then? What's your next success going to be?
Well, I challenge myself every day, and every so often I reinvent myself, because I don't want to sit on my laurels and get old and bored. So at the moment, what I've done is a few months back, I gave up alcohol, cigarettes, and now caffeine, just to challenge myself, see if I can be that person, and what kind of person will I be without all those things I've done all my life. So I've discovered a new me now, and the way I'm going is my future is towards cooking great healthy food for people to appreciate and staying green.
We know you're a very busy chef, so how do you manage all the time with your personal times like that?
It's not difficult it's about organization. It's about organizing your head first, and then what you're going to do for the day. I mean, if you think about, I write books, I do cookery programs, I control my kitchens, and I also have a very young family. And I also have exercises to do every day, because unless I do the exercise, my head won't go with me. So I need the strength that I get from the exercise in order to keep myself going.
And the advice of no matter what happens, you know, don't give up. It means get that big picture in your mind, keep your eye on the prize, because someday it'll be you sitting here, and there'll be a 95-year-old Richard interviewing you.
And the most important thing is to keep going and keep cooking at home, and buon appetito.
What I'll take away from this experience with Richard and Aldo is obviously build your career up as you go along. You might not have nothing at the start, but you've got the passion and the enthusiasm, you can always get there.
very strong-willed, and I took all that on, that I know that I'd have to get more confident in the future.
In as far as Richard is concerned, I was very impressed with him. He says some really, really straightforward things that are so obvious, but you wouldn't necessarily think about it yourself. I think the two students that are in a competition at the moment, they've taken a lot away from us. I think that they're going to be fantastic in the competition, and I think the guy that cooked my pasta, he will eventually be a great chef.
If they go back and look at this, there's some great lessons that sometimes when people are learning to do something, they focus on little tiny things. And the lesson from Aldo is to make the big picture and to make it detailed and precise and to stick to it. You know, the precision with which he thought, the clarity, and the source of his creativity, that, you know, that he used every sensory system, smell, taste, colors, to design food. The more you use your internal world, the richer the internal world is, the richer the external world will be. You make plans, and you make them as inevitable as breathing, and then you can't not do it.
This has been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for these catering students, as Richard has passed on the strategies they will need to make a success in their future careers as chefs.